KTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside ESPN's John Anderson, here's Alex Strofe.
Yeah, away we go. The best 60 minutes of your day. It is the Homer Hour with you on this Tuesday evening. I'm Alex Strofe, in for the Emmy Award winner Homer tonight. He's back with you tomorrow. Don't worry. But today we have the pleasure, the treat, the absolute honor to be joined by our friend of ESPN and SportsCenter fame and Wipeout fame. People forget that sometimes. The legendary John Anderson with me. You hear him every Tuesday on this program on the Green Bay Game Day pregame show. He's been all over the country the last 3 weeks. You good? You tired? You sleeping? Where we at?
You know that. I just got too many boxes, man. So I don't know what kind of room you got in your house, but can I send you like an armoire and a formal dining room table, and then some leftover sheets and maybe some pot holders?
I think I'm good on the pot holders.
Okay. Well, never know. Just wondering.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I'll be hosting. Maybe I do need the pot holders. Let me get back to you by the end of the program on the pot holders.
It's Christmas when people are going to be like, a China hutch. That's unusual. I feel like maybe that's a re-gift, but okay. It's a little out of the price range of what we had decided.
Sure.
But here it is.
So for those that are unaware, John made the move, right? You moved to Missouri, as you will be here in the next month, starting up your academia career at the University of Missouri, your alma mater. So is that something you're going to be, are you going to be re-gifting here as we're in the holiday season?
I went to the first holiday party we had that was given by the dean of the journalism school.
Sure.
And, everybody brings in, here's a little, here's a bottle of scotch or a bottle of wine. And I brought him a bottle of champagne from the 25th or whatever it was anniversary of the This Is SportsCenter campaign. I said,
oh, wow.
Here, it's a re-gift, but look, it's got a really cool label and you can have it. So he seemed happy. So yeah, we're totally, absolutely. I am just handing out stuff. Like, if I have to hold on to, Halloween's going to be great for these kids.
Good. I'm glad.
Look at Jimmy came home with new king size sheets. That's unbelievable. Well, unique. The Anderson people, sure. Some people give away whole candy bars. Andersons are giving away bedding.
Bed sheets, yeah. Hey, everybody needs it. Everybody needs it. I don't have a problem with that. So I have a stupid question on champagne before we get back to the Packers. So is champagne like normal wine, right? Like wine is better as it ages. Is sparkling wine like champagne? Is that also the effect it has? As it ages, it gets better?
Well, I think all aging ceases, right, once it's out of the cask and out of the barrel. And once it's bottled, it is always the same. Now, I think it can go bad, and that I don't know. This I haven't had too long, so I think it's still good. I think it'll have its bubbles. I don't think it will go south. But I am not a connoisseur enough, and I either in Connecticut, anywhere. I've never lived near a sommelier to get that kind of information. So I don't know. I do know that, beer can go bad, so I imagine everything else can.
Fair. Okay, good stuff. John Anderson, Alex Strofe hanging out with you, talking about everything you wanted to hear and more here to start off the Homer Hour on your Tuesday evening. Your way into the show, 800-990-3776 if you have any questions. For the professor, Mr. Anderson, Jason Wilde will join us in a bit. But, John, I wanted to dive into this with you because – I was watching that Eagles-Panthers game on Sunday, and it became very clear to me that, sometimes good or great teams will have bad days, right? And the Eagles still find a way to escape, win that game by 6 over Carolina. I want to believe the Packers are this good, great team, but they haven't had their best day yet. No. And I don't know. I feel like they're running out of runway to have their quote-unquote best day. Last Thursday, obviously, a very good opportunity against Detroit, but they ultimately fall short against the Lions on Thursday. Are the Packers going to have a best day, or is this just going to be kind of a 12-5, quick run in the playoffs, and all of a sudden it's over and done with? Because that's the mental gymnastics I've been running through the last 48 or so hours.
So I do wonder if maybe have we seen their best game? That's what I worry about.
And who would that be against in your mind? Is that the San Francisco game? Is that the Houston game?
I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. Any of those, like all of them, there are warts and flaws in every game, even the ones that they won by a bunch. And so you're like, wow, if that's what it is, that maybe, because it is hard. I get it. I love what's the new buzz phrase is always complimentary football.
Sure is.
Everybody, that's the thing anymore. That's the new term. Maybe this is it. Maybe they are incapable in whatever way it is of supporting all sides of that, all three phases. Make sure I get all the buzzwords in there. And I don't know, maybe we've seen it. I don't think so. You just see enough in all these other things to gain hope. The Lions go down and score in the very first possession as predicted. But yet then they find a way to kind of steal up against them. And then all of a sudden they score and they have a letdown again. They had that last year was one of their biggest things. And I think I had counted it off at one point last year. They had a stretch, I believe it was 18 straight possessions where after the Packers had scored, they had allowed a score the other way. And I don't know where that letdown always comes. I don't know why in the key parts of the game, ends of halves, blew it again, right? And end of the game, the other team's offense, in this case, both times were the culprits. The offense on that team came out and said, okay, let's go. We got to make a statement before we go in. We're going to do this. I don't know why the defense seems incapable of answering that. I don't know why they are incapable of winning the big down. And in this case, when you watched how Campbell was, and I applaud the guy, I don't think he was wrong ever once. They had not shown that they could get the Packers off the field.
No.
And so why not take advantage of the extra down? And you watch the Packers a couple of times where you're like, guys, you're celebrating this big third down stop, and fourth is coming. And you have shown this time and time again with what you do. Like, teams are going to keep going for it on fourth down because the Packers don't seem to offer a whole lot of resistance. They snuffed them once. It's great. But 4 other times, and all of them, were crucial, they managed to just keep the drive going. And it's even more pronounced. I hate this touchback to the 30. I mean, with field goal kickers today, with their accuracy in their legs, like you come out to the 30, you take a 25-yard drive and you're in scoring position. 30 for sure. And so I hate that part of it. But I'm waiting for the defense to go ahead and just go, okay, now we're going to have some intensity. Where's our fight? Where are we going to show that we can push back? I guess I see some stops, but I never see where I think the defense has gotten its back up and just decided we're going to be better today than the other guy and win all those matchups. Again, I said just previously with the fellows beforehand, like since I haven't played in the NFL, I realize it's not that easy, but I also feel like I've watched Ray Lewis' group. I've watched some other ones go, okay, this is it. This is where we need to draw the line. You've scored, or we've given some first, but here's where it ends. And here's where we're going to just show you we're better than you. And that defense has not done it yet. And I'm still not sure that's a Havley thing. I'm not going to bail on him. I do wonder if they have the right guys in there,
Yeah,
that's this idea that you are a really good team for a couple of downs and not all of them is the most troubling thing I see. And some of that could be pass rush. Some of that could be, who's playing on the corner and who's hurt. But regardless of what one of those things, it becomes it's either, it's the 0 or the 1. You either do or you don't. And too many times they just don't.
No, you're totally right. And Thursday night was a complete example of that, right? 4 of 5 on fourth downs, I believe the Lions finished in that game, including obviously the crucial one at the end of the game. So as you were talking there, John, my head went to, okay, well, which group is most concerning? And the answer is all of them, right? Because if Jair's out, you really don't, it's not like you have Rasul Douglas anymore, right? You're relying on Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn. Right.
They seem to be happy with Stokes' performance.
And I mean, anybody with 2 eyeballs seemingly isn't happy with Eric Stokes' performance. He's been underwhelming as a first-round pick. The linebacker crew. Quay Walker has 2 nice games, and then in this Detroit game, he reverts back to the wrong place, wrong time, every time. Quay Walker, we've seen the last couple of years. The pass rush has gotten, it seems, maybe a teensy tiny bit better, but overall, it's still pretty non-existent.
been some improvement there, but yeah, again, still not consistent pressure on that. And I get it. The Lions, you watch them, right? Very good team.
Mm-hmm. Really good team.
So it's going to be hard to break through and see a lot of that. But I thought they did some decent things on defense. I just think I need to see more of them, right? Really good defenses do that all the time, even against good teams. They figure that out. And the Packers seem to score just enough to keep it a one-possession game and everything. And the defense seems to allow just enough points to make it a one-possession game. In the teams against really good teams. The Dolphins came in, right? They were compromised in the snow. They were great. I thought the 49ers were going to be better when they came in.
Yeah, me too.
But they're not. They're still not quite what we thought they were. So it was nice that they handled those. But as you got to the crux of this, you're not going to get to go play in the friendly confines there of old Lambeau Field. You're not going to be, get to hear start me up at the beginning of the game. You're going to have to go do that on the road.
Yeah.
And they have not shown, other than the Titans game, and God bless, I don't think you're going to find a Will Levis quarterback anywhere in the playoff, that they've gone on the road and handled anybody's business. And so they need to. Even if they had turned that around and somehow made the stop, do you feel hugely different about it? I guess. I think I do. I think at one point they just went, okay, here, we have made our stand and we have forced you into something you didn't want to do. And I don't know that there's any reasonable Packer fan that late in the game, as it's been a couple times, you turn it over in this one possession game that you don't go, oh, goody, it's in the hands of our defense. This will be great. I think that's
totally
right now. That shouldn't be a terrifying thought if you're a really good team. And right now, that's a terrifying thought if it's a one-possession game, right? Boom, there go the Bears. Boom, there go the Lions. It is disconcerting if you're going to get to, again, the main crux of all this is, can they win the Super Bowl? Sure, but not if the defense is going to play like that in the biggest moments.
No, it is any given Sunday for a reason, right? So we can always say that, and we can always use that as a reason for optimism. But the truth is,
right. You got to have 4 given Sundays in a row. And right. You got to have a month of Sundays, as the kids say.
You got to have a month of Sundays, and you just pointed it out, and I guess I hadn't thought about it this way. But road games this year, you mentioned the first true road game. I'm not counting the one in Brazil. Their first true road game was at Tennessee. That was their big win, 30-14, Malik Willis revenge game. Then a couple weeks later, they go to L.A., they take on the Rams. That's a one-possession game. They win by 5 points against a team and an offense that didn't have Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. They win that game by 5. A couple weeks later, they go to Jacksonville. They win that by a field goal, and albeit Jordan Love did leave that game at halftime, but still, that's a really bad team with a dead man walking head coach. After the bye, you go to Chicago. You win thanks to the fingertip of Carl Brooks. And then this past week, you go to Detroit and you lose by a field goal. So I don't know if that makes you feel a ton of confidence when you go into this upcoming Sunday, one of the most intense environments in all of professional football, as you head to Seattle on a Sunday night. That's despite the Packers on paper being the better team, it is still a worrisome environment for them to play in my eyes. It's a good point by you.
So because I do not, I don't go to the wagering. I didn't even see. Is there a number out right now on the Packers on that trip? Are they? What's the number for Sunday?
I would imagine the favorites, 3-point favorites, according to ESPN Bet.
Packers are. So I think you have a chance to change the narrative a little if they can go out and win that game out there, because it is such a hard place to play, and Seattle's played better. That defense, I think, is ever improving out there. There's this. They're not the Legion of Boom anymore, but I think they're improving.
Yeah, they've won 4 in a row. Yeah,
and you hope. Okay, here's our launching point for those last 4 games, and you're on your way. Because I don't think right now, despite what it is, you go, oh, well, they go 12-5. Are they going to go 12-5? That's, I guess, 3-2 over the last couple. Is that where they're at?
They've got 4. They've got 4 left. So yeah, 3-1, 2-2.
Yeah, but that's a tall order. And now, do you think, okay, depending on where you stand, you're probably going to have to go back out there again, right? There's a very good chance you could end up out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's funny because you're going to have to go play an inferior team on the road, and then after that, then it gets. Then it gets real.
Then it's Detroit or Philly, right? Yeah, that's a bridge we will cross at another time. John Anderson.
Right now, Right now, Philly wouldn't scare me except for the fact that Saquon Barkley, the last 3 times he's played the Packers, has just decided that he is not going to pay the $250 for the stock price to be an owner. He's just going to do it.
Yeah.
Just going to do it without actually sending money.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to because he's and he's been that good against everybody this year. John Anderson, Alex Strofe hanging out with you here on the Homer Hour. Franchise on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube stream says Packers defense has no discipline. We will dive deeper into that as we continue with you until 6 o'clock tonight. But coming up next, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year and the co-host of Wilde & House, Jason Wilde, joins us. That's next on the Homer Hour.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Big delays on the bypass right now. We had an earlier accident around 60th Street that was blocking the right lane. That has since been cleared. Delays have not, though. We've got southbound 894 slowing down from National down through the Hale and onto 894 eastbound. Northbound on the Rock Freeway, heavy from Highway 100 in through the Hale interchange onto 894 eastbound. The delays on eastbound 94. We got some backups basically from Highway 16 all the way past Brookfield Road. And then again from the Zoo interchange through the Stadium interchange to about 35th Street. Westbound, very heavy ride out of the Marquette all the way to Hawley Road. Traffic is brought to you by James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner. Visit jamesimaging.com. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, mostly cloudy, few flurries possible, low of 24. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly, scattered snow showers, a high of 28. Weather is brought to you by the Corners of Brookfield. Help the big guy out this holiday season. Drop off your little one's letters in a special North Pole mailbox in the Market Square through December 22nd. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Every pass, every dribble, every shot.
Sam Jones double team. Reverse layup. Ben Gold open on. Another assist. Again. That is 3-3. And here's a steal by Chase Broad. It's showtime. Stevie Mitchell, 3. There it is. There it is. The third player in Marquette history with a triple-double.
Every single second.
Marquette by 18 over the 6th-ranked team in the country.
We are your official home for Marquette Golden Eagles basketball. 94.5 ESPN.
Did you know that military veterans in Wisconsin carry millions of dollars in debt? This holiday season, it's time to give back to those who have given so much. Verizon and the Milwaukee Bucks are teaming up with Forgive Co. to make a difference with the Verizon Debt Relief Program. All December long, Verizon and Forgive Co. will relieve $250,000 of debt each week to ease the burden on local heroes. To find out how military veterans and members can receive special Verizon offers, visit verizon.com/military. Let's bring the spirit of giving to those who served.
The president of James Imaging Systems, Tom Tegeter.
Over 45 years ago, my father, James Tegeter, founded our company on a cornerstone of quality, integrity, and service as the best way of connecting with clients. As I reflect on 2024, I'm grateful for the James Imaging Systems team. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to always connecting with clients and helping them thrive. To each long-term client, I extend my gratitude and thanks for your confidence and support. We look forward to remaining connected to you as your local business technology partner. I also appreciate our new 2024 clients for connecting with us. Welcome to the James Imaging Systems family. Looking forward to 2025, I believe if each of us embraces the power of connection, our local community will prosper. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and God bless America.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Are you looking for reliable transportation this holiday season? I've got you covered. It's Jen Latta from ESPN Milwaukee, and with holiday parties, family gatherings, and year-end events on the horizon, I trust AccuTrans Group to handle all of my private transportation needs. Whether it's a corporate function or festive celebration, AccuTrans gets me there safely and on time. As a veteran-owned business, they pride themselves on top-notch service that you can count on. Booking is easy, stress-free, and reliable. Just visit AccuTransGroup.com to reserve your holiday ride today. That's AccuTransGroup.com.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting their first ever tournament with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellerson, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a two-man scramble at Whistling Straits, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at wisconsinindoorgolfcenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through December 31st. Your winter chance to play Whistling Straits awaits. wisconsinindoorgolfcenter.com.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Jason Wilde time on the Homer Hour. Alex Stroop, John Anderson hanging out with you on a Tuesday. Jason Wilde, the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, co-host of Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin. Jason, are your weeks back in order now? Packers played Thursday. Now it's kind of a mini bye into Sunday. You all straight and narrow now that we got it all figured out after last week's weird schedule?
Yeah, I'm sitting at my desk right now before I go to Sydney's choir concert and take her to volleyball practice after the concert and pick up Maddie from gymnastics practice. I'm sitting at my desk writing about John Anderson's long-lost Mormon cousin, Zane Anderson, how he filled in on Monday night, or on Thursday night. So I don't know if you guys have seen each other at recent family reunions, but finally another Anderson jersey to be seen on the sidelines and on the field in Green Bay.
Yeah, we have not. And by the way, that's the thing that most often when I go home as a kid that I had to apologize for was the two great Anderson basketball players there was Southwest, Paul and Tom, that went on to play at UWGB. And then I was in school right after them, like, oh, look, here's the next Anderson. I'm like, I'm not them Andersons, man, and I don't play ball. So I also, and I'm not.
I'm
not in the Church of the Latter-day Saints, although I really like all the folks out there at BYU and Utah. That said, so Jason, I am concerned more than ever about the defense, and it is not. It is not any one thing. It's not personnel. It is the fits and the starts. It is that I don't see some sort of, you always say the what is it you like to say about the improvement isn't always linear. Like I look at that defense and I don't know that they're any difference from the team I saw in week 1 and 2 in the way that they play sometimes and don't play other times. I'm curious as to your take after what you saw in Detroit.
Yeah, fits and starts is a great phrase. You're exactly right. And I would push back on you slightly and say the number one offense in the league, right? I mean, and they did have some critical moments. They managed to force occasional punts. I think maybe even 2 of them.
Yep.
And Lord knows that coach doesn't like to do that. Again, whether you thought that the decision by Campbell to go for it on 4th and 1 from his own 30 was stupid or reckless or gutsy or whatever, however you view it, the fact that they stopped him, they still had to stop him. They still had to do the job. And obviously Quay Walker probably should have been blocked on the play, but he makes the play, which sometimes he has opportunities without being blocked to make plays, and he still misses the guy. So he made that play. They get the interception by Keyshawn Nixon, who read the play perfectly, had seen that stuff on film, makes the play. I mean, those all count too. But, yeah, they still gave up 34 points, and they're still inconsistent. And I have to say that I may owe an apology. Maybe. Again, we'll see how this season winds up. But, I made, and maybe this is typical of me, just make, me, I make a lot of assumptions, and we know what happens when you do that. But, you come off this Joe Barry defense where so frequently it seemed like guys were unsure of what they were supposed to do, right? You could see guys gesturing and gesticulating at each other about where they're lined up. You would see them yelling at each other in the middle of a play sometimes because they were misaligned or the wrong guy was in the wrong spot. They would talk about the complexity of that system. And then Jeff Hafley comes in. and all they can talk about is how aggressive it is, how you get up the field if you're a defensive lineman. You play vision and break zone coverage in the back end so you can see the ball and you can break on the ball. They made it sound like Jeff Hafley, and this is all the players. I mean, I guess I didn't talk to Preston Smith, but the others that raved about how much simpler and easier it was to run. And yet, I have learned now in the recent weeks that it still takes a while to figure it out. And I even asked Hafley about it last week, and I was wrong. Like, it does take some adjustment, even if it's from complexity to simplicity, and even if it's from 3-4 to 4-3. And I felt like they were starting to hit their stride going into Detroit. And what I'm reluctant to do is say, okay, now that they've had a major setback, I don't know, maybe they just played a really good offense that makes a lot of people look silly. Or maybe the 49ers without McCaffrey and without Trent Williams and the Miami Dolphins on a 60-degree temperature swing just weren't very good in those two games. And maybe the defense still has a long ways to go.
So which group would you say needs to have the biggest improvement if they want to make a run come January? Is it the defensive line, the linebackers, or the defensive backs? Defensively, Jason.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the front four, Strofe. I mean, they had one sack from Gary on Thursday night. It was a coverage sack, but it still counts. Like, I'm not taking it away from him.
A sack's a sack.
A sack is a sack, except, of course, when the guy either falls down and doesn't block you or blocks someone else and doesn't block you. Then I'm a little more critical of the quality of
still counts.
Sack.
You and Mark Gastineau.
Yes, Mark Gastineau. Oh, boy, that's a story.
I'll tell you what, I think it was Joshie DiMaggio that sent me the confrontation with Favre at some sort of signing or whatever.
It was an autograph signing last summer, so the summer of 2023. So this is years after the fact of this happening with Michael Strahan when Favre allegedly and really did take a dive. So Strahan could break Gastineau's record and Gastineau win at Favre. So go ahead, Jason.
Well, as a legendary grudge holder myself, don't get me started on Michelle Tafoya. I'm Team Gastineau, and the fact that he had not had the opportunity to confront Favre. And by the way, Tausch doesn't talk about it, but and I don't recommend asking him about it, but he was so pissed after that. All those guys were, because and this is what and look, I know Favre is however you view him, a lovable character in the country bumpkin act, and the as Holmgren used to call it, the hee-haw act. He's a smart guy. Some might say smart enough to steal money from poor people. I didn't say that, but some might.
Some might say that. I tend to agree.
Some might. Yeah, I just try to protect myself. But like he used to, how he used to have these, like, obviously he had it with Sapp. He had it with Chris Hovan for a period. Like, it was like he thought, I'm going to befriend these defensive players. And that offensive line, I was there at that game.
I was too.
Really?
I was. I lived very close to the Meadowlands back then.
Oh, were you there as a fan, or were you covering it?
No, just as a fan. I just went and watched.
So there are two times that I can remember the offensive line being absolutely irate. One was when Favre did that, because they had shut Strahan down. And if you know anything about being a competitor, those guys took it upon themselves to say, hey, this guy can break the NFL record. Well, he ain't doing it against us, blankety blankets.
Yep.
And they had shut him down, and then Favre gift wraps it for him. And there's no doubt he took a dive. But to me, that made him a bad teammate. That made him a guy who chose giving a gift to some opponent over doing what mattered most to his own guys. And so that is my opinion, but they were, oh my God, were they pissed. Okay, so that's one. The other one was in the 4th and 26 game. If you guys remember, because there's a lot of things that happened in that game, and Strofe, you were just a child back then. But before Freddie Mitchell and everything else that goes on, and before Favre's interception, they had a fourth down early in the game, and at the goal line, and Amon Green trips over, I think, Mike Wall's leg, and they lose it on downs. And Mike Sherman, I have on very good authority, and Tausch was not the source because he was so angry he wouldn't talk to me that day. But Mike Sherman told him after that, if we get another 4th and inches, we're effing going for it, and we're effing getting it. And, of course, you guys remember that instead, at the end of the game, they had a 4th and inches, and instead of going for it and closing out the game potentially, they punted, and then they lost. And those guys were beside themselves with anger because remember that offensive line, I would put that offensive line up against the Lombardi offensive lines and the 2014 offensive line as the greatest in Packers history. I mean, that they had cleared running room for Amon Green to run for 1,883 yards that year. They were going to get 6 inches. And I don't know if those guys ever forgave Sherman for that. For as much as the other stuff is highlighted in that loss, that the offensive line was, were they mad. So those are the two instances. We got completely sidetracked by that, but I think it was worth the sidetrack.
Well, now I'm going to defer to John because I know we're running out of time with you, Jason. Jason did mention, John, don't get him started on Michelle Tafoya. I'm gonna defer to you to ask the final question, and if it is about Michelle Tafoya, that's up to you.
Listen, I have my own thoughts about Michelle Tafoya. I've had some run-ins with the sideline commentators before on ESPN, so I had to publicly apologize to Lisa Guerrero one time because Stuart Scott and I made a joke that they thought made us a bad teammate. So I'm going to stay away from that. So all I know is I've rarely mistaken who plays for which team, and I'll leave it at that. Especially if they're standing next to me in the uniform of said team, which I usually find is sort of a giveaway of who you play for.
Yeah, sure. And once again, he says, I will leave it at that.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is if Jordan Love is standing next to me in a Packers uniform, I'm thinking, I bet you play for the Packers.
You must play for the Bengals.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Anyway, we'll let it go at that. Let's just say this, Jason. I'll leave you this. Tell me why, if you were an opposing offense coordinator, would you not go for it on 4th down every time against the Packers unless you're like on your 35? Like, unless you're really deep. I would make them play 4 downs because I don't think they can play 4 downs.
Yeah, and that was one of my questions on the flip side to LaFleur on Monday, I guess yesterday, because I said, look, I understand, everybody coaches their own way. I'm not saying you need to suddenly morph into Dan Campbell 2.0, but there is an advantage to all right, it's 2nd and 7, and you're thinking 4 down territory all the time as opposed to only on occasion. So that changes your play calling, right? Maybe you do run it again, and you only get 5 yards, but it's 4th and 2, and you're willing to go for it again. And I asked LaFleur I said, I know you're go by your gut kind of guy, but is there an advantage to maybe being a little more aggressive? And he actually, I thought, did a nice job of contemplating it and then kind of explaining where he's at. Like, he acknowledged that the 4th and 5 from the 48-ish on their second possession against the Lions, that was one where he could have gone for it if he had been more aggressive. And maybe he should have, he said, which I always appreciate it when coaches are actually willing to admit, maybe I'm second-guessing myself on that. So in terms of their defense, though, I would say keep doing that until they prove otherwise that they can stop a short yardage play. And they have not been very good on 3rd down. They have not been very good on 4th down defensively. And they've still, that unit, to go back to our original conversation here before I sidetrack this, has a lot to prove as a group. And I do think they're better than the Joe Barry guys were or the system was. I think they certainly benefit from having Xavier McKinney. And as one coach who shall remain nameless but is good friends with Joe Barry said, I'm wondering how Joe Barry's defense might have looked with Xavier McKinney playing in it. And I think the implication was, as opposed to Darnell Savage, who did not tackle very well and did not protect the umbrella that they love to run. So bottom line is this, that they need to play better all across the board. But back to Strouf's question, I definitely think it's up front. They got to stop the run better. I think maybe it was a little bit of fool's gold of what they did against the Miami running backs and Christian McCaffrey, because they got out to big leads in both of those games. They'll be tested this week, right? If Walker's healthy enough to play and Charbonnet. So I'm eager to see what this defense does down the stretch. But these are 4 games that 2 look like gimmies to me and 2 look pretty challenging to me. And I'm really curious to see when we're done with these 4 games what their record is over that 4-game span.
Good stuff, as always, from the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, Jason Wilde. Hear him each and every weekday, 9 to noon on Wilde and Tausch. Jason, appreciate the time. Enjoy the choir concert. I assume you were not a choir kid. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Ave Maria.
All right, that's enough of that. Oh, I do not believe it. Yeah.
Do you hear what I hear? 'Cause I'm not sure.
We'll save Michelle Tafoya for Weekly Wilde, Strouf. Thanks, buddy. Take care. Be good.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Love
Weekly
the holiday concert series that's coming up. I had to go to many of those back in the day.
Well, I don't know if your ears are seeing red stuff come out of them all of a sudden like mine are, but that was quite a way for...
Not my age, I can't even hear those pitches anymore. I just
It's like a dog whistle?
Yeah, small silence. Sorry.
Go to a choir concert, mate? What did we just watch, honey? That's fair. John Anderson, Alex Strouf hanging out with you on the Homer Hour. More after this on ESPN Wisconsin.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Well, it looks like we've got a crash now. Eastbound 94 right at Highway 164. It's off on the right shoulder, so watch out for the delays past that scene. Still going to be heavy all the way past Brookfield Road, though. And then back on the brakes from the Zoo interchange all the way through the Stadium interchange to 35th Street. Westbound backed up from the Marquette all the way to Holly Road. Back on the brakes from Elm Grove Road all the way to Calhoun. And then again past Brookfield Road. Southbound on 41, slowing from Appleton Avenue down past Capitol Drive. You're back on the brakes from Lincoln down through the Hale interchange onto 894 eastbound. An earlier accident at 60th Street cleared out of the way, but that's really what caused those delays. And then southbound on 43, backups from Capitol Drive all the way down through the Marquette to the KK River crossing. And then on the northbound side, slowing down out of the Marquette all the way up to Keith. And checking the TMJ4 Storm King forecast tonight. Mostly cloudy, a few flurries possible, a low of 24. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly. Scattered snow showers with a high of 28. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Have you seen them yet?
Seen what?
4 different ways to say I love you.
I'd love to see those. Show me the list.
What list?
The list of 4 different ways to say I love you.
Let's start over.
Where are you going, Monica?
I'm going to get the 4 different ways to say I love you.
Sarah, imagine a box of assorted chocolates.
Okay.
When you open the lid, what do you see?
I see a guy sitting on a park bench saying, life is like a box of chocolates.
But what are the shapes of the chocolates?
There are 4 different shapes.
Here they are.
Those are gorgeous.
4 diamond pendants covered in diamonds.
Almost like they were dipped in diamonds.
And each diamond was created inside a miniature star.
But you'd have to be rich to afford one of these.
Choose the diamond pendant you like best. $148.
I love Kessler's.
Everyone loves Kessler's.
For the location of the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
On the actual day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a 12-pack of Lakefront, 11 Jims of Beaming, 10 Royals Crowning, 9 Johnny's Walking, 8 Wines of Sparkling, 7 Miller's Lighting, 6 Geese of Graying, 5 Chardonnays, 4 Spotted Cows, 3 Cabernets, 2 gift cards from just 1 trip to Discount Liquor.
Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. 'Tis the season to check out Discount Liquor's tremendous selection of over 2,000 varieties of beer, 3,000 types of liquor, and over 8,000 wines from around the world. And yes, we do carry 8 varieties of ready-to-drink eggnog. Celebrate this most festive time with a great selection of beautifully packaged liquor gift sets, sure to make you the hit of the party or as a perfect gift for the liquor connoisseur on your shopping list. Discount Liquor, 2 locations in Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma and in downtown Waukesha on Main and Barstow.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings. Discount Liquor.
See all of our weekly specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Ho, 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 my back.
Santa?
Ho, 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 Gina Della from Pella. You've been a good girl this year.
Is that why you're in here building new windows?
Yes. Next year, how about just asking for a Pella gift card? My elves are used to designing windows from other places where they're all pretty much the same. But Pella? Ho, 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 so many customizations and designs. My elves aren't qualified, so Santa has to put in some overtime. Ho,
Let me make a call. BRB.
Frighteningly fast pellet team at your service. Let us take it from here, Mr. Claus. And Gina, next time.
Yeah, I know. Santa already lectured me. Ask for a Pella gift card.
What if you need new windows or doors, but you're on the naughty list?
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get as low as $19 per window and $81 per patio door per month.
Ho, ho, ho! Visit the Pella site, and to all a good night.
PellaWI.com. Certain restrictions apply ends 12/31/2024.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Tune in to Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Behind the Bucks dives deep into Bucks in 6, a culture unknowingly created by former Bucks star Brandon Jennings. Take a look inside the Brandon Jennings story, the origin of Bucks in 6, how it became the rallying cry, and what it truly means to Jennings and Bucks fans alike. Find Behind the Bucks on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher. It's the Homer Hour with you on a Tuesday night. Alex Strofe, John Anderson hanging out with you. 2 Green Bay natives just reflecting on a tough Packers loss on Thursday. I'm feeling okay overall. I don't want to go out on a limb because I still think it's too early to say, this isn't a Super Bowl team. But I just haven't seen anything that makes me feel they are a Super Bowl team, John. And that's why Thursday is still so sour to me, is because that felt like the opportunity to prove it, right? The opportunity to say, hey, we belong with Detroit and Philadelphia in the NFC. And despite only losing by 3, it's hard to walk away from that and go, yeah, that's a team that belongs. And that part hurts a little bit because I felt like prior to that game, I probably would have made the argument they belong.
So I don't know if you've ever noticed at ESPN, we spent a ton of money on research at ESPN over the years, and we found out people like lists.
We do.
And they also like sports. Those were the 2 things with all that Disney.
Really?
Yeah, they like lists and they like sports, which is why you have the nightly top 10 and like. But that's why one of the things that get read the most on .com is ranking this week's power rankings, and every once in a while, they tier quarterbacks or their tier teams. And so I came away from that is the Lions and the Chiefs, maybe the Bills, are in the Super Bowl tier. And the Packers are the next tier down, the could, if things go right, if they find their game kind of thing. The first time they played the Lions, I was despondent. I'm like, okay, they're just not as good as that team. Like, it's not even close. Okay, they can be as good as that team. Now, they have to play really sharp. They can't get away with much. The line for them is very thin there, the leash, whereas the Lions, I think, have way more. But they can be had. But they're still clearly a tier down from where the Lions are. And people can argue to the blue in the face, but they did this. Right, but the result was still they did not win. Had the chance, and they did not. And they had a couple opportunities. And, and is the game, people always focus on, you focus on the very last thing that happened, that last drive. Okay, well, what if a chance that they do make the one time the Packers made the 4th down stop? So now they're working in a short field and they score. What if they punt that away? Can they go 70? How does that change the dynamic, right? Nothing ever happens in a vacuum with what with how a game would play out if they had made a different decision in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter previous to what happened at the end of the drive. But what comes out of that is that team is the better team. I think the margin is far less than it was the first time they met in Green Bay in bad weather. But they have to now get over this hump, knowing that it's, we're not even. We won like last year. You won in ours, we won in yours. I can't wait for the third one. Like you come in this and you're like, okay, you gotta be better. And the pressure's on you now all of a sudden where you've got to make sure you're on your P's and Q's every single play, every single drive. And that's a hard way to go through a game, feeling like there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, you're totally spot on with that. And look, like if there's I guess it wouldn't be a rubber match because the Lions won both of the games in the regular season. But if there was to be a hypothetical third game in the postseason,
one game winner takes all.
Yeah, one game winner takes all, right. But if there was to be a quote-unquote third game, do I feel like the Packers could go to Detroit and win? Yes.
Sure.
Would I put money on it? No. Would I feel, any better?
If I could get a favorable number, straight up, I don't think you would.
No, that's what I mean, right? Like a money line. The line maybe, but I struggle with that because when you look at the tiers, especially in the NFC, I really don't. I probably view the Vikings a tier below with the Packers, right? So it's Lions, it's Eagles, it's everybody else. I guess I haven't talked to you in a few weeks. Do you think the Vikings are legit?
Yeah, I think they are.
You do.
They keep. I don't think you get to 11-2 by accident.
No.
In the NFL, so I think they are. I guess who is? If you said somebody, who's the leader of the defense?
In terms of a player?
Yeah. Like, who's the guy that holds them accountable? Who's the guy that's, not everybody's Ray Lewis, not everybody's Mike Singletary, but like, who leads that defense? Like,
I've got an answer for you, and you're not gonna like it.
Is it the guy with the green Donna's helmet?
That's where I was gonna go. I was gonna go with Quay or Kenny.
The guy that stands up and says, "Hey," because I don't know that Quay Walker can be that guy because he whether it's the missed assignment, missed tackles, or how he plays. Like, I don't know. I think that would help if just like they're trying to identify who is the best offensive player that they can go to all the time.
But then doesn't your head, John, doesn't it go to that as a fundamental issue with how Brian Gutekunst built out the roster, right? Like this youth movement, that would be the issue with it, to your point.
I don't know. I think you can come in and you can there are guys that lead that absolutely. I don't know that it has to be because if they're all young, then it's okay. Then like you can't wait till everybody's in year 5. Who's the guy that's in the defensive room that just says, "Hey, enough."
Well, you hope it's a guy like McKinney, right? He was a captain in New York. You sign him for Bronco dollars. You bring him over, and obviously he's done in terms of the turnover number a terrific job, right? Redesigning what a good safety looks like for the Packers, the best they've seen since Nick Collins. But do I know it's him? No, I don't. And I don't have a confident answer for you. And
that would help if we had a guy that you went, okay, they're answering to him. Like, not everybody's Leroy Butler. I had, when we did the Inside Wisconsin Show podcast with Ron Wolf, and he was like, make no mistake, Reggie was unbelievable, but Leroy Butler ran the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was in charge. That's who people answered to. Even Reggie was like, okay. As good as he was, and people follow the best players, Leroy Butler ran the defense, ran the rim.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious. It doesn't seem like there's a guy that has that strength of personality right now that is doing that. I think this is a case where that would be helpful to have that guy right now.
Totally agree. All right, let's do this because I feel like we've been, and you and I tend to do this sometimes.
It's going to be yes or no?
No, we're not going to play yes or no like we do on Green Bay Game Day, which I know is your favorite game. No, I want you to tell me something to be positive about. That's what I want to do to wrap up the show coming up next because I give you a hard time. Sometimes you're a little bit pessimistic. Sometimes you're a little bit of a Debbie Downer. So we're going to end the show on a high note.
Realistic and pessimistic are two different things.
All one and the same with John Anderson. Alex Strope hanging out with my buddy John Anderson here on the Homer Hour. We wrap it up next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Chris Carlin, Joe Fortenbaugh.
This is Carlin versus Joe.
There is a special on ESPN Bet, a team to win the Super Bowl for the first time.
Who are our first-time teams?
The Bills, the Vikings, Falcons, Texans, Cardinals, Chargers. Those are your contenders.
Yeah, contenders. I don't need to be like, hey, Carolina's never won. Yeah, and that's going to continue.
Carlin versus Joe. Weekdays at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
Let's get the latest from Lambeau. This is your green and gold fix on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Tri-City National Bank offers a full suite of personal and business banking products at 28 convenient locations. Open your account today at the community bank that was voted Milwaukee's best bank. Learn more at tcnb.com.
Jaden Reed's production has fallen off a cliff as of late. The Packers wide receiver had 1 target, no touches, and played just 25 snaps in the loss to the Lions. He hasn't gone over 30 receiving yards in the game since November 3rd. Head coach Matt LaFleur said they tried to get Reed the ball last game, but just weren't able to.
Making sure that we have some of those plays for him in the game plan where he's tagged to go in there and play wide out. He's a very impactful player. It wasn't by design that we don't want to throw him the ball today. That's never the case.
This has been your green and gold fix on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Tri-City National Bank.
First time building your own nest? Call Tri-City. We'll do the rest. Our hometown lenders will put you at ease. Your home building process will be a breeze. Tri-City National Bank. Equal housing lender. NMLS 433891.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Toscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Well, if you need a bath or shower remodel this holiday season, turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. And this month only, get 0 interest financing for 12 months and a free shower door with your Lugstone shower remodel. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, founder of Right Choice Tax and best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. The IRS has you in their crosshairs. We are local and know how to deal with the IRS or state and solve your situation. Just the other week, we successfully removed the target on Tim. He had been audited and was told he owed the IRS. We fought the notice and got him a refund instead. We were also successful with Nate to get $94,000 of penalties removed. This is why I started Right Choice Tax Resolution, to help people fight the IRS and state. You don't know the ins and outs of taxes or the more than 20 penalties they can impose on you. Make the right choice and call us at 844-222-1192. We want to help so your bank account doesn't get wiped out, your paycheck or Social Security garnished, or a lien put on your house. Get rid of that stress and get back to enjoying life. Call us at 844-222-1192 or visit rightchoicetax.us right now to book a meeting.
Stay up to date on the green and gold all season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee. Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Wrapping up the Homer Hour on a Tuesday. Alex Strofe, John Anderson with you here on ESPN Wisconsin. Gave John a little homework assignment to accomplish in the commercial breakdown. I want him to tell me something good in our last few minutes together about the Green Bay Packers. John, I can tell you something good. I just saw a stat in the break. Every Chicago professional sports team except the Bulls, have fired their head coach since 2023. Every team in Chicago except the Bulls. Yeah. So that is 8 of their 9.
3 in like 6 months. 3 in like 4 months. Incredible.
And so at least we're not them.
Billy Donovan won't come out of his office.
No, I don't blame him. Just sleep on the cot under the desk in there, man. I don't blame him one bit. All right, give me something to feel good about the Green Bay Packers.
So listen, in terms of homework, I'm learning about how the kids work these days. So like I may have a completely AI generated answer. No. So I love that people think. So I'm not. First, let's clear up. I'm not a pessimist. Okay, I am very much a realistic guy when it comes to his team. And so because I don't have always the fervor of all the fandom, that perhaps comes off that way. And then by nature, I'm just terrified, right? We were up against Kansas in 24, and I'm like, when is the bad part coming? That's pessimism. Okay, that was pessimism. Like, crap, we're only up 24 with 13 minutes. This is going to go bad. Oh, by the way, and it almost did. So here's what it is. Like there are so many signs that this team has the personnel and the plan and often the execution on defense that there's always these things to be encouraged about. I think what makes it seem pessimistic is we've kind of gone through the Barry thing. So you've got a little scar tissue, and it doesn't take where if you had a lot of, if you're watching a Ravens defense from back in the day, you kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, that's fine. They gave a couple of first downs. They'll be fine. They'll lock down. You kind of go the other way with the Packers because history shows you that once it starts to go a little bad, it goes all the way bad.
Correct.
But there are enough good things, right? When McKinney plays really well, the defense is good. When they do get pressure on the quarterback, and they've had these bouts and a few more in the last week, then, oh my gosh, look, it's a completely different group. Quay Walker sometimes looks like he knows what he's doing and not only is competent, but a physical middle linebacker. Some of the other linebackers have played really well. McDuffie, every once in a while, you're like, boy, that guy is really good. I need all 11 guys, though, and I need them to do it 3 times. And so I think the signs are there that they can be what we would like them to be, right? I'm going to give it the old Jay Billis. Jay Billis always says, my bracket sheet for the NCAA tournament is perfect every year. I cannot help it that the teams do not live up to my lofty expectations.
Right, exactly.
That's how I feel about the Packers right now. I think they're great. I cannot be held responsible. They don't seem to want to live up to the lofty expectations I have for them. But there are enough signs, and they've done it against some pretty good players, like the Nixon interception. Goff's really good. He's had 2 bad games where he threw a bunch of them, but you can make him you can make him play where he doesn't always have 150 pass rating. So I think there's tons of signs. I just needed this month for them to go ahead and put together a couple of good quarters.
We need the buzzword. We need the buzzword. Complimentary football. A complete 60 minutes.
I don't want complimentary football. If you can win it 3-0, I don't need the offense right now. I need the defense.
Yeah, that's true.
Some zeros, and then we'll worry about the compliment.
Yeah, the offense has shown us good signs since the bye week. Defense, not so much. Johnny, I will talk to you on Sunday, beginning at 4 o'clock Central, ahead of Packers Seahawks. I'll talk to you then, buddy.
All right, see you, bud.
That's the great John Anderson. Homer is back with you tomorrow. Rain Man, TVV, all the staples on a Wednesday edition of the Homer Hour. Jason Wilde as well. Thank you, Pebble. Coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the Jimmy V Classic, #1 Tennessee. Only up 3 on Miami. We'll join that one in progress in just a few minutes. This has been the Homer Hour right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
Eastbound on 94.